My paper is called Working with Strangers in Saturated Space, Reclaiming and Maintaining the Urban Commons. My name is Amanda Huron, and I teach at the University of the District of Columbia in Washington, D.C., and this article appears in Antipode, a radical journal of geography. In this paper, I'm theorizing the urban commons. The commons is increasingly invoked by scholars and activists as a way to envision new worlds. A commons is a resource that's governed collectively by its members and is used not to extract profit for a few individuals, but to support the lives of a collective. The commons, broadly speaking, provides a basis for survival outside capitalism. This is a community garden in Washington, D.C., one manifestation of the urban commons. I wrote this paper because I believe in the idea of the commons, but I'm skeptical. I'm sick of hearing the romantic call to reclaim the commons without attention being paid to the hard work that goes into the day-in, day-out collective governance of non-commodified spaces. And I've also been hearing the phrase urban commons used a lot recently, often without attention to what I think is categorically distinct and difficult about a commons created in a city. So this paper addresses those concerns. Right now, there's basically two ways of theorizing the commons. One strand of commons research focuses at the local scale on small groups in traditional, mostly rural societies. These researchers study how collectives of people maintain resources over time. This strand of research is known as the CPR, or Common Pool Resources tradition. A second strand of research focuses on the commons at a global scale. I'll call this the alter-globalization tradition. This is more political research that asks how commons can be reclaimed from a capitalist landscape. In this paper, I bridge these two approaches. I'm theorizing the commons, and I'm asking how the commons can be reclaimed and maintained in the city. I do this through examining the experiences of limited equity housing cooperatives in Washington, D.C. This is one such co-op in D.C.'s Columbia Heights neighborhood in the late 1980s. Limited equity housing cooperatives are housing co-ops that have been removed from the speculative housing market in order to be a source of affordable homeownership. In general, members buy into the co-op for a very small amount, and over the course of their time in the co-op, they pay relatively low monthly fees. Should they choose to move out, the amount for which they may sell their share is restricted, so it's affordable for the next person. Because of its very progressive tenants' rights laws, DC has a relatively large number of limited equity co-ops. This is the grand opening celebration of another DC co-op in the Shaw neighborhood in 1991. In my research, I examined 10 of these co-ops using a fine-grained case study method, and based on this research came to some conclusions about the urban commons. I argue that urban commons is marked by two distinct traits. One, it emerges in space that's saturated with people, competing uses, and financial investment. Two, it's constituted by the collective work of strangers. Most of the commons that have been studied by CPR researchers have been in rural contexts where population densities are low, and where, as CPR scholar Eleanor Ostrom has written, people share a past and expect to share a future. But in cities, people come and go. They don't necessarily share a past and may not share a future. And in cities, relatively large numbers of people are packed into relatively small spaces, where they're forced either to compete or share resources. Compete for or share resources. Commenting in cities, I contend, is a qualitatively different experience from commenting in other kinds of spaces. If we're interested in the city as a site of social justice, and if we're interested in creating ways to live outside of capitalism, we need to pay special attention to the challenges of the urban commons. If you want to read the whole paper, you should be able to find it at antipodefoundation.org. And if you can't find it, just send me an email at amanda.huron@gmail.com, and I'll send you a copy.